Introducing your host, David Daniels II. If you made it to my channel, you are in the right place to be, so make yourself feel at home. And I want to say, welcome to Free Game. Here we discuss a lot of topics on self-growth, so you're going to leave out of here with some positive vibes, alright? I want to say, make sure you like and subscribe if you like what you see. Appreciate it. Alright, so welcome everybody to Free Game. Just gonna find a couple of different topics to talk about here on my platform. Like I said, this was a platform for positive vibes only, and hopefully I can help people grow, if it's spiritually, physically, mentally, financially. Just try to encourage people to be better, and hopefully that they truly do find a purpose in life. That's pretty much the goal for this platform. But with that being said, like I do cover a couple of different current events. I will, obviously if I do choose to speak on anybody, then I also want to make sure that I am sending out my prayers for those individuals that I choose to speak on. It's not going to be like a platform where we going to, talk down on somebody and not wish the best for that individual so they can be better and they can do better. So with that being said, I was going to talk about the Shannon Sharpe situation. Obviously he got fired from ESPN due to him having relations with this girl who just wanted to out him. But they had a relationship, and I don't know how old Shannon Sharpe, his age, but you have to move careful out here, and then you also have to be an example for those young men to move carefully, tread carefully when you out here and you a public figure. And to be honest, my platform is to recommend and push people to find marriage. I am about hopefully that people don't try to fall victim into this dating culture and just dating people just to date people, but truly do find somebody who they agree with and that's compatible with them, because it's crazy out here, and you might be dealing with somebody who don't have your best interest, but because you paid for the time, and because you paid for the time, you are liable if they choose to press charges because the relationship ended, the way they didn't want it to end or the way you didn't want it to end. People can be bitter, people can be spiteful, and nowadays with the dating, fear, people dating out here, I don't think it's, especially when you have money, or some people who are well off, that they should be just moving around and not being conscientious for the young people who are seeing them move around. Especially, for Shannon Sharpe, he's already secured the bag in multiple ways. So you gotta be able to move and put that as an example. And I get it. Sometimes people they live their life. They like, why must I change? And but I always tell people, a lot of times you gotta realize that it's not about you at this moment because you're so stuck in the present. It's about the ones who see you that is coming up. Those individuals who are seeing you come up, they might be they might see you and realize I guess you can try to play it both ways. So I think people got to be conscientious of how the world sees them. Like, should he be messing with this young woman? And then she ended up recording this phone call. She recorded this text message. I mean, that's a 50-50% chance that that can happen to anybody. So, depending on who you dealing with or what you're dealing with, you got to be careful of the things you say in the first place. You got to practice. That's what's called discipline. Like I said, I'm hoping that he realizes, he learns from the losses that he's going through, and he don't fall into a dark depression, and he bounce back from all of this. Plain and simple, for both parties. I heard something about Gilbert Arenas, and how I guess he got arrested for renting a house where gambling was taking place. And from what I've seen, I think he was already released from prison. But again, brother, if you are already making 7 figures, and if you're making 8 figures, then you gotta be careful on how you. There's so many other ways you can branch off and start something legit and build wealth the long way, not the fast way. And why be that example of where people? Because I always say people look up to these individuals. Am I somebody to say you should look up to every celebrity? No, I don't believe in every single celebrity or somebody who is on a platform should be idolized and you should place on a pedestal and you should follow their judgment. Some people don't have clear discipline, so they don't know if these people morals and values is coming from a solid place. But yeah, again, if you're making that much money, and I'm not trying to be like micromanage, I'm just saying it's about the ones who view you and they realize, like, man, you keep seeing where these young men, they find a way to get it, and then they fall victim because they still so consumed with the lifestyle, and they want to have, the gambling and, the girls who have no connection, no relationship, and they think things is fast, and they should have looked for stability, and they didn't get no stability, and then they wonder why, like, oh, well, this person that I'm with is trying to crash out. And it's probably because you never vetted properly. You kind of been just looking for hookups, soul ties instead of soulmates in a marriage. Plain and simple. So, like I said, I'm praying for Gilbert Arenas that he exercise discipline and he can move in the right direction and he can be a light for others, inspire others, get back on track, get back on your grind, your purpose. And because it's hard out here. I know people don't realize that even if somebody don't, at this given moment tell you what you should be doing, later on in life, they can come back, and it can come back and bite you. I mean, that's the whole purpose of what the Me Too movement is. That's the whole issue with this T-app situation, which I've seen, and I'm gonna speak on that too. Whereas people get so stuck in the present, and I think that's where I feel like people kind of get lost, is where they just don't focus about, down the road situations. So, like I said, those two individuals, and I always tell people, it's easy to pray for your loved ones, easy to pray for your spouse, your friends, but sometimes it's okay to pray for your enemies and ask that they find some peace and find some understanding and realize, they dealing with hurt in their hearts. True forgiveness is how to forgive and forget. A lot of people don't really truly know how to practice true forgiveness. And then they get tied down with guilt, and they deal with depression, and they deal with the ties of what that person done to them. and it's sad. I see it on a day to day. I have personal things I speak on that's personal. You know, you can be somebody who chooses to create bridges for other people, or you can be somebody who burn bridges and be super destructive. So it's just some things that I feel like we all can work on. We can be better at. And these morals and values that I get from reading the Bible and realizing how strong having a good fundamental faith in Jesus Christ is. Like faith is important. You know, you can't let somebody steer you off your faith or determine what you deem is um you know not worth it. Because I tell people, don't get so caught up in the temporary moments, because it's appeasing to yourself at this moment where you fall so short, and you realize that those temporary gains of what you thought was temporary don't mean nothing. Like, it don't mean anything. So I just want people to realize, um it's things people can do. Stay true to themselves. Stay true to themselves, figure out their purpose, and get into that Bible. Truly get into that Bible. Let me see, any other topics? So let me see. Now I got a quick question. I peeped this out a while ago, but I have a question. I've seen it's a lot of young or seasoned pastors. For some odd reason, I've seen where a lot of people get caught up in uh, this division mindset, where you have somebody is going against another pastor, and it's like a competition for division. And I always say, the reality is, you gotta be careful, because the devil loves division. That's how the devil knows how to conquer. He likes to divide people up, put you in these different segments and these different, you this type of person, so you should belong over here. You this type of person, and he likes to divide and conquer. So a lot of times when I see people and they take part of that, now if you want to chastise those who you feel like could be doing right, you can pray for those individuals as well. And I always say, we are flawed individuals, and make sure you state your flaws and don't be afraid before you start to shade somebody else. So before you start to place shade and judgment on somebody, make sure you realize that you are, as an individual, is a shade. Like, you need help as well. Everything ain't just peaches and cream. It's things that you need to work on as well. But yeah, I've seen that like last year, earlier this year. I'm not gonna name no names, but where a couple of different pastors, a couple of different people were shading each other, and it's like your whole goal is to bring people in one location to understand and have a self-sustained relationship with Jesus Christ. To know him as when he walked amongst us, and to know him after he have passed and transitioned and he came back and resurrected. So I also say, repeat myself because I think these is worth repeating, that understanding the characteristics in the Bible, you start to realize who the Messiah is, because Jesus is a true reflection of what God was trying to do and what he was doing in the Old Testament. So you start to realize, just based on characteristics, who God is, but who also is Jesus. And also say, understand the characteristics of the devil, because sometimes you gotta figure out how the devil was trying to deceive. The devil just want a lot of people to operate out of fear and hatred, pride. Moving through your life, and you got all these fleshly desires, and you know things that might look sweet or sound good to you. Those are temporary. That's temporary. You know, most of that fruit is rotten. They always say, let the um, you know, um, in the future, most people's words will bear fruit. So, some people's fruit that they're bearing is rotten. It's not leading you to, anything that's gonna help you prosper in the future, because, when you prosper, it's truly about the ones that you help and the ones that come behind you and the ones that you help get ahead, and then the ones that can vouch and say, when you remember that person, they're like, man, I remember I was, thugging it out. I was homeless, or you had to pull somebody up, help put food on somebody else's table that could be miles away, and you acting off of faith because they could have done anything with the money, but you know that you had to do what you had to do to make sure that they did what they did and they accomplished what they accomplished, and you checked on them and you talked to them and you fellowshiped with them and you had conversations with them. You ain't forget them, and that's what it's all about. Bringing those people together who need hope and need understanding, who need just a little bit of your time to just say, listen, I see you. You don't have to be moving in a way where you feel discouraged. And I say your flaws is what's gonna make you an individual. So don't shame yourself with your flaws. If you realize and you truly do read the Bible, but you got so many people that get so church hurt that they can't read the Bible and have an understanding because they don't have that discernment, because they got church hurt. They went to some prosperity churches that dropped off breadcrumbs, but you can't realize that you as an individual, you can accomplish more if you realize that God has always chosen these broken individuals to say, listen, I see you and I see purpose within you. And, I challenge those individuals who can sacrifice pride, who can fast, who can decide to say they want to read, if it's just 30 minutes a day, if it's just a book a day. Go through, start looking up, Googling text and Googling things that you don't understand, and start putting stuff together for yourself. Sometimes it's not as hard as it seems. It's just people don't put the time in to do it. And that's the problem. Like, you gotta put the time in. You get what I'm saying? So, it's not easy. I know some people like, man, there's always money to be made, but listen, we as human beings, we fall victim to unknowingly self-idolizing things that is, it don't matter if it's money, if it's people who's gonna give you the money, it's those people who've made most of the money, if it's celebrities, if it's the lifestyle of somebody who is rich and famous. We self-idolize so many different people that we don't truly recognize our true purpose and what you have to do, not just for you, but for you to be a walking testimony for somebody else. Like, sometimes you realize the things you go through in life, especially at a young age, is for you to show somebody the path so they can pull themselves up. And it's not about you at that moment, because it's about somebody in the future that needs to figure out, man, how do I get through this? The craziest things that I always peep is How is it that we go through generations after generations after generations, and we got people who commit and they do the same type of crime, they have the same problems, they can't get ahead, and it's like you're not learning from the mistakes of others. We haven't broke through that trend of learning through the mistakes of others, because you do have groups of people who profit off of your misery and your mistakes. They need somebody to be the fall guy or be an scapegoat to, you know, make themselves look better. I'm gonna have to add this one. I used to say you can't follow somebody or trust somebody who is moving off emotion. That's not qualities of a leader, or somebody who's moving off of desperation. You can't follow somebody who else is, you know, like if you placing somebody in a situation where they're moving off of desperation, then like I said, you never gonna get the best outcomes. If you placing somebody and they moving off emotion, then a lot of times, again, you're not gonna get the best outcomes. So, I always say deception. You gotta figure out how people are manipulating the situations, and you try to navigate around that and try to stay clear from it. I want to speak on what I've seen. Don't know too much about it, but I've seen it, and it was talking about this thing called the T app, right? And the premise of this T app, right, was basically it was a form of protection for women, and it was supposed to protect, and I agree, of things that it had purpose for it. And they have what's called Life 360 for people who have children. So you can find that individual, but also you can look people up. If somebody is on a sex offenders list, if somebody have committed a crime, if they're out here, burning women, you should be able to look them up. Now, it was supposed to be a safe app for women only, and it was supposed to let people know, hey, this person has multiple baby mamas. He slept around with a lot of people. He's burning women. He's abusive, and he has a criminal record. Whatever it is, if it's geared towards the safety of women, right? But somehow it turned into this, we gonna shame men from any and every single thing they come across, and it was turning into something that was a negative, because it was also based off of just turning into gossip. If it was saying facts and they was doing things to truly protect, then by all means. But again, people fall victim to the state of gossip, and gossip is something that, sadly enough, a lot of people don't realize that they fall victim to, and they don't never repent to, because they don't feel like their words have any meaning when they truly do. When you speak down on somebody, you're not forgiving that person, and you wishing harm or hurt for that individual, then a lot of times that stuff can backfire in multiple different ways. So, it's sad, but gossiping is, it happens. Now, if they redo the app, and what I'm saying is that the app got hacked, or somebody somehow leaked all their personal information, and I'm like, the thing that was supposed to keep them safe made it dangerous, because now it leaked their IDs to the internet. People can look up people who was on this potential app. Now, like I said, I think they should just go ahead, if they want to choose to redo it, because men tried to do it, but they also did it out of spite. They did it out of spite. The first thing they did, within 24 hours, they started trying to do revenge porn. They did it out of spite. It was coming from a place of hurt, and you had people who was trying to shame the opposite sex. And I'm like, man, both sides is moving out of a place of hurt. And I'm like, man, you only creating division. I can see the devil is just loving and eating this shit up because he's like, man, I've been trying to divide the household for the longest, but they're doing the job easy. It's called Willie Lynch theory. That the Willie Lynch theory just don't apply to black on black people. It can apply to classism. It can apply to, oh, you taller than the next person. It can apply to, your weight, the battle of the sexes, whatever it is. When anything that you can use to create division amongst people is how you divide and conquer. And most of the time, you have both parties will entertain the work of the devil because they hate each other. So, people is, it's easy to go ahead and say you pick vengeance. It's hard to say you pick forgiveness. And, like I said, when you operate out of a place of hate, then you can reflect hate. If you're dealing with a toxic situation, if you're in a toxic home or you in a toxic relationship, most of the time you come to work and you toxic. Well, sometimes because you could be dealing with a toxic environment at home, so you reflecting that unwillingly. You are reflecting that on the person that you might be working with, your family members, somebody else, because somebody hurt you, so now you reflecting that hurt on somebody else. You reflecting that. That's why I say if you choose to reflect God, and when you read the Bible and you understand the characteristics, and you choose to start reflecting those characteristics of God, reflecting those characteristics of Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, and understanding the shoes that He walked in, then sometimes you can feel at peace, and you realize like ain't nothing that can get you off your pivot, nothing that can put you in a state of stress, and you're not moving in a way where you should be worried. So I'm hoping that at the end of the day, both sides kind of figure it out. It's not just a one side that's dealing with this. It's kind of like both sides. But I don't really see nothing on the topic of nothing really trending. But it's cool. It don't really got me nothing trending. So, let's talk about physical health, setting a couple of goals, a recommendation for people. If you are a morning person, I'm a person that I am a morning person. I have the most energy. I'm not super achy, but set you some goals that's hard to reach. Don't set goals that's too easy to reach because you'll never find growth. But also, when you get up there in age, try to prepare yourself for when you choose to work out. Meaning, I try to drink, like carrot juice, turmeric. Put some turmeric in your food. Try not to eat so heavy before you go to sleep. Try to get something that's gonna help with your joints before you go to sleep. So when you wake up, you're not feeling like your joints is hurting. So get that turmeric, get that carrot juice in your system. And then when you wake up, drink you some beet juice, get you some pomegranate, some dark berry juice. And what I'm saying, like, you ain't gotta overdo it. We live in this world that we so consumed with abundance. It's okay to do a half a cup of the things that I'm talking about. And the reason why I'm saying the carrot juice and the beet juice is, the carrot juice is gonna help with inflammation, so your joints. The beet juice is going to help with dilation of the arteries, which is going to help give you a boost of energy when you tend to work out. Now, once you drunk that, and like I said, it don't take that long, so give it about like 10-15 minutes, and you start to work out, start to set unrealistic goals. Something easy. So, one set of a routine that I try to do is I'll get me a decent amount of weight, resistant bands, whatever it is, and I will curl and do like about 10 to 15 reps with something comfortable. Then after that, I'll do 20 push-ups. After that, I'll do another 10 to 15 reps on curling. And after that, I'll do 30 push-ups. And I'm going back and forth with curling and doing push-ups, curling and doing push-ups, till I get to like 150 or 200 push-ups. Now, once you hit that goal, you don't gotta say, "Oh, this is the goal I want to stay at." You push yourself, and then you extend that goal the following day that you work out. You gotta keep pushing yourself. If I'm going to the gym, most of the times I like those pyramid type of workouts where I'll start off with a decent amount of weight. I do 10 reps, and then I'm adding 10 plates on. 10 reps, adding some more plates on. 10 reps, adding more plates on. 10 reps, adding more plates on. And to the point where I can't do 10 reps is where I'll take a break, do an opposite workout real quick, and then get back to it, and then I'll pyramid my way back down, and I'll do 10 reps until I get back to my baseline of what I started with in the first place. Now, a lot of times, people will do hit the treadmill before you work out. Get you a mile in. Now, there's two ways you can do this. I realize that you can burn more if you do 10-second sprints instead of trying to do walk for a full mile. So you got to look at your day. Do you need to spend a whole hour, 2 hours in the gym? Not really. I recommend you do, 3 sets of 10-second sprints. So for 10 seconds, I'm going to do a hard sprint. And then I'm going to cut it back, walk for a little bit. Another 10 seconds, do a hard sprint. I'm going to cut it back for a little bit. Then another 10 seconds, do a hard sprint. And then I'll be done with that. Once you're done, like most people get a protein shake for a post workout. You can get you something that's plant-based. You don't stay in your system that long. The issue with animal fat, even though animal fat is better than some of this processed stuff that we got, the only issue is, stay in your system, and you can still have high cholesterol because of that. So, cashews, that's the thing for me. I try to get cashews, or I might try to get some you can do beans, black beans. That's also good. A little bit of grapefruit. Like I said, eat your heaviest meal during the middle of the day, not when you just wake up. But I say around 1 o'clock. That's the heaviest you want to eat. When I was doing fasting and I was trying to eat 1 meal a day, I would eat my only heaviest meal, no matter whatever it was during 12, 1, 2, or 3. I'm not gonna eat late to where I want to fall asleep and have a full stomach. That's something I don't recommend. So, with that being said, hopefully everybody find this advice helpful. Hopefully that you can take this and run with it, and it can help you prosper as trying to work out and set them goals to accomplish those goals. So, to the next one. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Check me out on Free Game on YouTube, Instagram. I'll try to work on getting that Patreon where I need to be. But let's get started. So, peace.